Today's show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. They're the fastest VPN we've ever used. Try them out at expressvpn.com/funhaus. Hey everybody, welcome to Filmhaus, the Funhaus podcast that is sometimes about movies and sometimes about TV and mostly about Moon Knight. But not today. Maybe today. We are so blessed because we have two special guests, friends of the channel, friends IRL.
Thank
I
you,
would
Elise.
say.
Happy to be here.
James Willems
Thank you very much.
is here. James, would you like to introduce one of our other guests?
I would love to. This is a close friend of ours. She's wonderful. She's talented. Beth May.
It's Freddie. Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for
And
being here, Beth.
Beth, could you introduce our last guest?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This guy, primo rock climber. I don't know about that. He just brags about it a lot. He loves audio, and then his bachelor pad, which I'm sitting in right now. I normally have a pretty cute room, even though it's poorly decorated, but this is like you're wondering who I'm talking about. The man of the hour, the myth, the legend. It is Freddie
Oh my God.
That's his,
It is
his evil counterpart.
Wow.
Freddie Wrong.
Flashback to getting made fun of in first grade, Beth. Wow.
No, stop. I'm not. No, okay.
Dunk.
What a fumble.
It's Freddie Wong. I have Invisalign, and that's what I'm going to
is
blame
not an
everything
excuse.
bad that I
is
say.
not an excuse.
That's what the first graders also said.
That's what they said right before they gave me a swirly.
I'm so sorry you had to live through that just now, but thank you for being on the podcast. Beth, if you're listening or you're watching, you don't know Beth and Freddie, they are on Dungeons Daddies. They produce, craft, weave the exquisite narrative that is this podcast about the story of four suburban dads from our world that get tossed into a fantasy world and have to try to rescue their stepsons as well, I believe.
Yeah.
In some cases. And they're just movie aficionados.
We're secretly, all we wanted was to do a movie podcast.
A movie podcast. Yeah,
But
we talk
then
about that.
We always talk about we want to do a movie podcast, and here's our chance finally to shine. I cannot wait.
Yeah. At least people who watch this know what they're getting, whereas people who like listen to Dungeons and Daddies and then they get a film podcast are like, oof.
Yeah. and you guys were like the big guns that I called in this week because there's not really anything too interesting.
I can't believe you're saying that on this week, 4/14, 2021.
I was just going to say nothing interesting happening as of today, April 14th, 2021.
Wild thinking
We should have
about what
recorded
happened
tomorrow because
Yeah.
it's the anniversary of the Titanic sinking.
Titanic sinking. Yes, James, didn't I bring that up recently?
I don't know. I don't
Remember?
Listen. I don't listen.
And then you were like, that's a weird thing to know.
I'm obsessed. Yeah.
I mean, I will say in the film world, the big thing that happened today was the Fast 7 official trailer dropped.
Right.
Ooh.
But
Right,
Elise
that
hasn't seen any of the Fast and Furious, and I've only seen 2.
Yeah,
So
Wow.
it really doesn't flash in our world.
Yeah,
I've only seen Tokyo Drift.
I've seen 1 and 2, and then I think I saw Fast 5.
Yeah. I've
Should we
only
watch
seen
them all?
1 and 3.
You should. I think so. I think it is a modern, like here, I'll put it this way. Can you name any like action franchises that were not handed to us? i.e. Mission Impossible, i.e. James Bond, i.e. right? Like all of those are old ass, movies and TV shows that they kind of revitalized. Fast and Furious is a unique for our generation phenomenon because it is whole cloth built out of whole franchise. We don't have those.
I mean,
I'm going to say
built on the skeleton
the
of Point
Has
Break.
Fallen franchise.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
the Has Fallen
The
franchise.
Down has
agree.
fallen.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the Titans, Sam Worthington, Wrath of,
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Clash of.
I feel like
Yeah.
Cars wasn't expecting a sequel out of Cars actually when because I thought it was just
Yeah.
fine.
Wait,
Yeah.
is that the sequel, Cars Actually?
Yeah, it's the
takes place-
Christmas. It's like a lot of cars meeting up. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Doesn't
interesting
hold up.
thing about Cars actually is that none of the stories, because it's a bunch of stories, have anything to do with cars. That's the interesting thing about it.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, well, This is perfect then, because I brought you two in as ringers because you know so much about movies, you talk so much about movies, and Freddie, I guess you can sell us on why we should be psyched for this Fast trailer.
I'll say this first and foremost: the best.
Sell me a woman on Cars, please.
This is okay. Let me put it this way: what this movie and this series secretly is, it's secretly a soap opera, with $200 million. With a $200 million costume on it. It is, at its core, a really straight ahead story about family dynamics and friendship. Like, it's weirdly so. The thing that they emphasize in all these movies is like, you gotta stick to your family, stick together.
Yeah.
Like to a
Ohana.
degree that you don't see. Like Mission Impossible isn't about like his friends, but James Bond is like, they're all brooding, action superstars. This one is like, weirdly enough, has this bizarre heart beating at the center of it, and then wraps it in just ridiculous car stunts. Because the origins of it are ridiculous, because it starts with like, these are criminals, and then somehow by like Fast 4 and 5, they're criminals, but they're also kind of good guys at the same time. It's just like the morality of this world's insane, and it's just a lot of fun. It's the most fun I've ever had at midnight movie screenings, is going to see the Fast and Furious movies.
Sounds like my class at high school. The soap opera really got me, because it's like all I want is like, I don't know, like early Grey's Anatomy with heavy car violence action, PG-13.
It is the same.
Yes.
But when I say soap opera too, it's almost, and in the same way like WWE is like, like right in this new one, John Cena is now the brother, but when I describe it, it's gonna sound like a soap opera plot, right? Your main character, Dom Toretto, his long lost brother is back and is evil, and then it's all these family dynamic stuff. The character that died in Fast 3 is also back now, so it's like characters are coming back from the dead. These are all classic soap opera moves, but what you don't have normally is car stunts, of which there are very, very, very many. And car stunts to spare, yeah.
And I can also maybe say like Beth has been my like quarantine social distance hike buddy.
Yeah.
And something that we always do is we talk about like the Hollywood scandals.
Ooh.
Whenever we socially distance hike. I would say
dishing tea.
I would say we do.
I can't like remember like the last like scandal we talked about. It was
I feel like we talked about.
I was literally gonna say like other than the Black Dahlia.
We definitely talked about Army Hammer.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I know that. Maybe that's.
I
the last
actually
one,
okay. I saw his most recent movie, and it was like, I kind of liked it. I don't think it was, I definitely don't think it's for everybody, especially once you know about Army Hammer.
Yeah.
But so that's, there you go. I don't know what I was going to say earlier. It was about Fast.
I was just going to say, like, I think that you and I would appreciate the meta aspect of the drama outside the movie, which is The Rock and Vin Diesel's conflict.
Yes,
right?
and then is it them that's like one of them has to have more stunts than the other? Is that a Jason Statham situation?
That I think is also speaking to one of my issues with just modern day action, is this obsession, what you're talking about, right? It's this obsession with image and making sure you look cool. I just don't like that. Jackie Chan never worries about looking cool.
Yeah, because we were talking about this on our film podcast. No, we were talking about this, about how like in modern day action movies, you very rarely see like the main character so in the Dark Night of the Soul that they're just like beat up and about to die and just like super injured. And I think that is like really what draws the ladies to the scene normally, or anybody who likes seeing wounded heroes, because they're like all fragile and accessible. Am I just talking about myself? Maybe, but like, yeah, I think that seeing like a hero's weaknesses in a like potentially life or death situation is so important to stories as a whole. So the idea that they're like lacking now.
Well, because it's all
weird.
superhero movies, right? At the end of the day, it is. It's like John Wick is a superhero movie. It's all analogs for superheroes. And granted, I think Fast and Furious is guilty of that to an extent as well. But like, there's still, I think, an emotional core that is lacking in a lot of other action movies that Fast and Furious hits home and knows. And like Justin Lin knows that is like what drives it, right? And why it works.
Is that because it's managed to retain mostly the same cast for 9 movies?
Yeah, so I think so, and I think what is interesting about it is you have to remember that it wasn't this from the beginning, right? It was a straight ahead sort of crime caper car chase movie in the first one. They tried to expand a little bit.
I watched the second one recently, and it's like they're just all like straight out of early 2000s wearing Jinkos and belly.
Yes,
like
hard
it's just like
Jinkos, frosted tips, just like hardcore. The third one is The Aberration, and this is the one that I think is really turned it, which is they didn't have everyone, and they're like, all right, I guess we have this franchise. Let's do something. Let's set it out somewhere else. Let's set it in Tokyo. Let's make it about a completely new set of characters, completely new world, and it was a great standalone movie. I think of all the ones as far as standalone movies, I really like Fast 3 just because I think that it works really well. Tokyo Drift as just like a fun movie.
And Justin Lin didn't come in until Fast 3. Am I right? Or is that
correct?
Yeah,
Justin Lin was brought in for Fast 3.
Okay.
And then the end of Fast 3 has a Dom Toretto cameo and it was a surprise to I remember seeing it in theaters. It was a surprise to everyone. It was like, oh shit! This was even I think before Marvel was doing crazy post-credits things. This was like a really huge post-credits. Like, oh my goodness, it's Vin Diesel. And then from that point on,
they got the guy that was in the movies before.
Which is
yeah,
exactly. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it was because you weren't expecting it. And then from that point on, from 4 onwards, it started to build this mythos of like, okay, it's a crime. They're doing crimes, but they're fighting bad guys, and they have to do it with cars. And it shouldn't work. It's so threadbare, but it works, and it works really well. And each successive movie is more of a blast than the previous. And I highly recommend them, and they're just a lot of fun, especially in a group, and a group of people who don't take themselves so super seriously. If you go see in the theater, I think theater is going to be more or less starting to open up by the time this one comes out. Try and find, this is a weird pull, but
or
try
closing.
Try and find a theater where the neighborhood has like car tuners. Like if you're in the mall and you see a bunch of tricked out cars, that is the screening you want to go to, because those like car people are so into these movies and they just have a raucous good time. Like I remember seeing Fast 5 in a theater in LA, and it was all car tuners, and it was the loudest screen I've ever been to. Like everyone was like either talking about the cars on screen at a given time or screaming at stuff or like, oh shit, this is so, and it was just like, this is the most fun I've ever had in a movie. It was great. So highly recommend those movies. Love them. If you want to see them with a group, go ahead. I'll come over. I'll set the right tone, environment,
Sure.
mood.
You're like,
Sure,
I'll
Freddie.
come over. You'll order a pizza. I like to have double pepperoni.
I would love to see it in a group.
And the last one.
I would love to see it in a group, but like everybody that I know, including myself, takes themselves really seriously, and I don't know if we could sort of get to that. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
you're
let's be
right.
silly
That is
level.
true.
So
That is
Very
true.
true.
You were taking notes during Cats.
I was, yeah.
If you guys wanted to watch all of them, I would do that.
I would do that.
Can I say something
Yeah.
real quick? Can I say something real quick about
Yes.
Cats?
Please.
Because I was there when Beth watched Cats.
Yeah.
I went to that.
Yes.
And there was a group in the front
yeah.
row who were not there for their first viewing. Neither was I. It was my second. But they were clearly there for their second, maybe third viewing, because they had dressed in Cats. Very flamboyant group of young men. And there was a point where one of them had to turn around and ask Beth to keep it down. And these are people who are wearing like Bengal, like one of them literally had a tail and was like singing along to the songs and stuff. And then there was a point where one of them had turned around and goes, "Could you keep it down?"
Okay, but we all knew what it was. We all knew what we were there for.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, no.
and like weirdly, I mean, yeah, we say that they were there for a second time, and I think our minds immediately go to like, because it was so funny the first, but like they liked it. I think was the vibe.
That's
and
why I was there.
That is
okay. Well,
that
yes,
is
and
always the most awkward moment is when you're in a in your screen or in your screen that you think everyone's on one page, but there's only like 2 or 3 people who aren't. I
because
was
people were shouting things out, and like I very rarely shout anything out that's funny, and so I normally am pretty quiet, but I forget what it was, but it was a banger. It was some sort of roast, and they weren't super jazzed with it.
I think you said
It was
Army
very
Hammer
hypocritical.
did nothing wrong.
Yeah, which at the time didn't seem like much of a thing to say. It was
No.
like, why do you say the sky is blue? But
incredibly prescient.
here we are on April 14th, and it's a different story. It was hypocrisy.
In college, we would do these things called cage rages because Nick Cage was at the height of his like movies so bad they're great film career.
Next.
Like clearly had next it was exactly, and then next at I think the Baldwin Hills like AMC, and it was like 8 people, 6 of whom were myself and my friends, who were there for a cage rage, and next is a perfect cage rage movie. And 2 people sitting up front who were there because they wanted to see a serious film, and I was like, oh man, like I don't know how you're like, it's the worst. It's very awkward.
I always tell the story of having to tell the people next to me in the quiet place to stop talking. And like, it's just mind blowing. The end.
I've got a very quick Harry Potter, this similar story. I tell it all the time, but so like when I was seeing the Order of the Phoenix,
Which one is that one?
That's the 5th one, and I'm trying to think of when it came. It probably came out like 2007, or earlier, maybe 2005. Who cares?
What was Armie Hammer up to?
Who knows?
That movie came out?
He was probably like birthing his twin for The Social Network at that point. And so it was a midnight screening. Everybody was shouting out funny things and stuff like that, or just hooting and hollering. And it got to the part where I am in high school. I am like a sophomore. I am a baby, a gentle baby in this midnight screening. And like it got to the part where they're dueling and people are yelling stuff out. And I'm just like, kick his ass, Harry. The person right in front of me after I say kick his ass, Harry, whips around and says, shut the fuck up.
Oh, no. Oh my God. You think it was the same person from the cat screening?
Probably. They've been following my
you
entire
have
life.
such bad luck with yelling things out in movies.
I mean, like you'd think I would stop doing it, but no, just gotta get that.
Those are hardcore. Those are like never go see a movie again moments for me.
I'm not even getting into my Frozen 2 shit, but like I got
Were you trying to roast Frozen 2?
No, I would never. Like literally, there were some youths.
Frozen 2.
There were some youths behind me. Well, it was like there was kids there, and it wasn't. I'm not going to be mystery science theatering a bunch of 5-year-olds but there was some youths behind me, some like 13-year-olds who were getting all like chatty. They're probably more like 12-year-olds. Who cares? But and just talking like loud. And so I turn around, I'm like, hey, could you guys be quiet? And they're like, okay, boomer. And my life left my body. I died. I died.
Can I tell you my trick? It's like passive aggressive.
Violence.
Aggressive.
Is it pee?
It's aggressively passive aggressive.
Okay. All right.
So when someone pulls out their phone next to me, and like I'll let if someone's like, I don't know, they could be a doctor, they could be getting a text from the hospital. I'll let one text slide because I never know. You don't know what's going on in other people's lives, right?
He's in cardiac arrest, but I thought maybe I could catch Infinity War real quick before he came to.
If they pull their phone out again, I lean over and I just start reading their text messages to them in a monotone tone of voice. I'm like, "Hey, how's it go?" And literally they turn around like they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And
Wow.
It has worked every time. It takes a little bit of guts to be like, and just read their shit. They don't pull their phone out after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or at the very least, they become a little more,
strapped.
they're a little more discreet about it, which I'm like, all right, that's fine. Just be
It
discreet.
is really tough because you're basically choosing to have a conflict in a situation in which you know that you can't just leave.
Yes,
If it's a bar or whatever and you call someone out at a bar, worst case scenario, you
Get the
just
fuck
walk
out.
away.
Get out
or
of it,
they
yeah.
walk away. But in a theater, you also do the thing, you're like, how much time is left in this movie? We think we've got 15 minutes left? Put that fucking phone away. But if we're just getting out of the trailers or whatever, it just literally just finished. It directed by, I don't know. That's a long time to be sitting there.
Do you guys think that because we've been out of the theater experience for a year, people will have lost all decorum and
there's.
behavior?
I don't know what. Well, now that the Arclight is gone, all bets are off.
I cried. I cried when my roomie Frank told me, because he's kind of like staying off. Like I was like working on something. I wasn't paying attention to literally anything. And like I walk out for lunch and Frank is like, the Arclight is gone, and I'm just like, I'm crying a little bit because Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to very quickly say, for those who don't know, the Arclight is like an iconic LA theater. It is like the default, hey, do you want a nice theater experience kind of theater?
The snooty liberal experience theater.
The ushers come out. They give a little preamble. They talk about how they're going to make sure the picture quality is good. The front row is already some 40, 50 feet back from the screen, so there really isn't a bad seat in the house.
And
it's a whole thing.
You only
Cultural
get trailers, not like for the movie, but like you don't get those stupid like Coke commercials where those Coca-Cola commercials like really bother me. And
how bubbly and brown that liquid is.
The little small like
the world
bubble
that
guys
exists within needs
the Coca-Cola machine.
Well, it's like it's a trailer for a movie, but the actors are like so bad that it's I wish I had a better example, but they're just like, and a popcorn, please. And like I'm just like, okay.
Oh, did I ever tell you we wanted to do a fake Coca-Cola Regal Cinemas film school thing? Because like Regal Cinemas will do these Coca-Cola ads where they like, and you can tell that they are uniformly like. What's really interesting about them is that you can tell for every single one of them that they all had like an idea that was like a good idea, but the fact that they have to compress it into this little weird format for this Coca-Cola thing, you just feel like it just rushes through it. You're like, oh, I get the story. Like when you watch it, you're like, oh, I get what the story was going to be, and you're like, oh, this looks well shot, but it looks like they just try and cram it in.
Well, every single one is a guy hopping out of bed and then like grabbing a briefcase and then like it's always like a chase sequence that ends with him grabbing a Coca-Cola or like a spy, and it's like, this movie is brought to you by, it's like, or it has the director and he's like, I'm excited for my Coca-Cola film school debut or whatever, but it's like clearly like a $500,000 commercial.
So I want
and then so like to bring it back to the Arclight, sorry, it's just that like you don't have that weird shit. You just get the trailers, like you just like insert it into my veins, the 2 minutes 30 seconds of joy, and then you got a lot about old people, not the popcorn's like not as expensive in some other places. You get some old people, but they're coughing like away from you, and so that's fine. Yeah,
it's curated.
So
no fights.
No fights. No,
there was a fist fight. There's a fist fight in the
lot.
showing for Logan that I went to, and the police had to be called. So that that wouldn't happen in Arclight with a bunch of 6-year-olds. So.
What was your commercial, Freddie?
The commercial event. So imagine it starts off and it's like me and Matt sitting on like the director's chairs and the set in the back. I'm like, hi, I'm Freddie Wong. I'm Matt Arnold. It's like, and this is our Coca-Cola Regal Cinemas commercial. Enjoy. And then it cuts in. So first shot, low dolly, nighttime, Regal Cinemas lighting up the night sky. Two people who are like clearly kind of awkwardly dating, kind of rush in. Oh, we're gonna be late. And they're standing at the concession stand. They're like, oh, I can't wait to see this movie. I heard it's really good. Would you like a Coca-Cola? Yeah, please. Hey, I'll take 1 medium Coke, please. And the guy starts filling it up. And he goes, no ice. And he dumps out the ice and continues and it foams up. It's like, keep going. Now put popcorn in it. The kid looked behind like, what? Like, put the fucking popcorn in my Coca-Cola. The kid's like, oh, okay. He's like, now Mike and I dump it in there. And then everyone's like look, and then the date's like, what? No. It's like, just keep fucking filling. It's like, sir, it's overflowing. It's like, keep going. And that's it. That's the whole point. And then it ends. That's the entire commercial. It's just this guy bullying this teenage concession stand worker into putting more and more outlandish stuff into a thing of Coca-Cola. That's great. You're just dying at the idea of like Coca-Cola.
There's an audience. There's an audience for that.
Yeah. Well, now there's more than ever because you wouldn't be able to show that in an Arclight. But AMC would welcome it with open arms.
Oh, yeah. Can I say, I think it's AMC maybe in Burbank that does one of my favorite things, which is they play a little commercial for Emerald Knights, which is a North Hollywood board game store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, is it Burbank, James? A Burbank theater?
I think actually it's been a while. Who runs that?
I think that is also in the Valley.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's probably out of business. But
I don't think the Arclight is gone.
I know. I like to mourn things.
I hope that Dolly Parton's like, hey, y'all, I bought the Arclight.
Well, it's funny. People were talking about, they're like, all right, well, let's see. We have the Cinerama Dome. We mentioned this on the podcast earlier in the week, but they have the Cinerama Dome. And it's like the largest concrete dome ever made.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and it's the Arclight's like, you know what? Keep it to the landlord. They're like,
yeah, exactly.
You keep it. They give their keys back, and the landlord's like, well, I guess this is a Halloween town now. What the fuck are they going to do with it? Like, they're going to put movies in it. Like,
Spirit Halloween.
there's all these giant theaters. They can't do anything else.
Okay, so I have started calling Knott's Berry Farm. Oh God, I should not say this because I so want Knott's Berry Farm to sponsor me at some point.
Oh my God.
But,
I would be a parasite on your back if you got sponsored
Yes.
by Knott's Berry Farm. I love roller coasters. Okay.
Can you imagine if I got, and then like if I partnered with Knott's Berry Farm, don't know that they do this with people, but for some reason they partner with Elise Willems. I get a gold membership, Knott's Berry Farm. Beth and I are going every weekend,
Yes.
riding the coasters. But Knott's Berry Farm has been doing a food festival. So I started calling them Epnot. And I really think that because I think Knott's Berry Farm could take the Cinerama Dome and make it their like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bring it
cocktail.
to there.
Elise, did you want this in 2019?
What do you mean? What?
Oh, you fucked up. Knott's Berry Farm,
Why?
Knott's 100th anniversary family reunion. In honor, this is in 2019. This is 2 years ago. In honor of the 100th anniversary, we're looking for content creators who will help us tell the story of the park for our guests.
Hashtag Epnot.
Okay, really quick.
No.
Candidates.
I've never even
Now,
been.
here, real quick. You must have. Now, these are hard numbers to hit for you.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
At least 10,000 followers on
which
any,
platform?
Any one social platform.
I'm not on TikTok, Freddie. I'm not.
I'm on TikTok.
You need to feel like
start.
you have strong ties to the park. Yeah.
Never been.
Never been.
And then has visited
Never
Knott's
been.
Berry Farm at least once in the past 2 years.
Well, you got one out of the three.
I will say that I could this isn't strictly ethical, but I could give you the ins and the nos about how to sound like somebody who's been around Knott's Berry Farm.
How many times have you? Wait, how many times have you? I was gonna say, how many times have you had sex in a Knott's Berry Farm? I don't want to think. How many times have you been to a Knott's Berry Farm?
Twice. But
It's two times more than me.
both was Not Scary Farm. I'm the best person, I think, to bring to Not Scary Farm because I'm very easily scared, and when
Are
the
you-
people sneak out at you, I'm like, ah.
I think one
And,
of my favorite things, Beth, you reminded me. One of my favorite things is like weirdly not that good branded haunted house experiences around movies. Like,
Oh yeah.
like you have time about like when because I think they'll do like Universal Studios will turn into a Halloween thing, and they'll always have like, oh, here's a few of our horror movies, and you're just like, I remember going through like The Quiet Places haunted house. I'm like, this doesn't work, everybody.
I'll
like,
say this though. We were talking about this very thing with friend of the channel, though he doesn't want to be associated with it, AJ Lacasio. And we all know him and worship at his feet. But we were talking about the Stranger Things haunted
Experience,
house that was at
The drive-through or the
no, the Universal Studios from
oh, yeah,
Halloween
yeah.
Horror Nights like a couple years ago. It
Oh,
was
yeah, that was a
Stranger
couple years.
Things. It had the longest line out of all the haunted houses because a lot of those haunted houses are really good. Universal, if you're watching and you want to sponsor me, I meet all the criteria that it takes to become a Knott's Berry influencer.
get me at a bargain.
We were talking about it because number one, it was right after season 3 had come out, but the whole haunted house was themed after season 2 because obviously they
no.
couldn't get any
Oh
of the
my goodness.
IP information or whatever, like those details. And it was a huge long line, but then also it's not really that scary. Like Stranger Things is more like
it's
a
not a good-
nostalgia show.
Yeah,
it's not a horror
really.
show.
Yeah.
But I'll say on the flip side of that, the what was it? Us? I think it was
Yeah.
Us, right? The Us haunted house was really good.
Oh, okay.
I tried it. I
So-
almost got. I
was
almost
really
got
great.
like passes for that. I was almost able to make that happen. But
Oh yeah.
Have you? Did you get a Knott's Berry Farm influencer pass and then you took it to Universal and asked them if they could trade it?
Yeah.
No.
You get in the bidding war.
That's pure confidence.
Yeah.
You should
so
I,
many more
I
things.
don't have enough disrespect to call myself a content creator in 2019. Like,
you missed,
There's so much more I want to ask you both. But
Three of us.
first we
There's
need
three
to.
of us here.
Dang.
Sorry. I ask you whatever I need to off the clock.
Pillow
okay?
talk.
But first, a few words from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. It's 2021, and talking about mental health is finally becoming a totally normal thing. Unlike shopping in the children's section when you're a small woman, Maybe we can normalize that. Anyway, that's why we're excited that this episode of Filmhaus is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. No matter what your circumstance, the last year has probably been a tougher one than normal. Many of our lives have been rearranged. You might feel more isolated or like your coping mechanisms aren't there anymore. But you know what might help with all of this? Talking to a therapist about it. A lot of us take care of our bodies. There's talk of our physical health everywhere, mostly from James Willems in my case. But it's also really helpful to take care of our mental health too. There is something that you can get from talking to a therapist that you can't get from talking to friends or family, a different perspective. And I can't advocate for it enough personally. Some people have a lot of stress and anxiety, or maybe you're struggling with anger management, temper issues, or you're trying to cope with depression. If this might be you, you can use therapy to get some tools and skills that make life easier. That's part of it, is talking with somebody that can help you look at your situation and find ways to improve. And that's really valuable. There's no shame if you're struggling. You don't have to tell the whole world about your personal business, but you can talk to a therapist about it privately and get some support. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So join the millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. Filmhaus is sponsored by BetterHelp, and our audience can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/filmhaus. That's betterhelp.com/filmhaus, HELP, Filmhaus being FILMHAUS. Thank you, BetterHelp. Unhappy with your smile? You don't have to be. Candid is the clear, comfortable, removable, and practically invisible aligners that straighten teeth. And now people are in love with their new smiles, including Justin M. from Atlanta, Georgia, who said, "When I was younger, I used to have a gap in the front and on the side. I noticed that people would always look at my mouth first, so I was looking for a fix. Candid ended up being the perfect company for me. You can't stop me from smiling now. There's no comparison. Thank you, Justin M. You'll love to see it. And Candid can give you a straighter smile, too. Your treatment is prescribed and closely monitored by a licensed orthodontist. You'll have the same quality of care you'll get from an in-office orthodontist from the comfort and convenience of your own home. Other companies use general dentists, but Candid only works with orthodontists, and the same orthodontist who creates your plan is with you from start to finish. And Candid costs thousands less than traditional braces. Trust me, I would know. And because this was not the original case. You don't want to see what was going on in here beforehand. Anyway, become the best you. Start straightening your teeth today. Right now, you can save $75 on Candid Starter Kit. Go to candidco.com/filmhaus and use code Filmhaus. That's candidco.com/filmhaus, code Filmhaus, FILMHAUS. Take advantage of this limited time offer to save $75 on your starter kit. I'll say it again, candidco.com/filmhaus, code Filmhaus. Thank you, Candid. So we're back, and we've covered a lot of ground here. I'm actually really glad that Freddie brought up the Fast and the Furious trailer because he made some great points. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask Beth about something that I feel like should be so in her wheelhouse. And haven't talked about it, so I don't actually know if it is. But have you seen the trailer for Zola, the A24 movie? That was the Twitter thread.
Oh no, it's a trailer came out. Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Should I watch it?
Yes. So it's Riley Coe, Taylor Page, Nicholas Braun, and Coleman Domingo are in Zola, which is the story of these two women. They're both strippers, and they kind of just meet, and then like a few hours later end up going to Vegas together to strip. Like one of them's like, we can make a ton of money if we go. Mm-hmm. And then it all goes off the rails, but it's all based off of this Twitter thread. Yes. Like the movie is adapted, and the Twitter thread is like 148 tweets long.
Oh, I've got it. Yeah, I'm so out of the loop with this. Like I was spending so much time in the Carolyn Calloway drama that this completely
the Carolyn Calloway drama should be a movie.
I will say, and I'm not breaking any NDAs by saying this, but I was working at a production company when that happened. And I was working in development as an assistant. And there were already like several companies that were trying to buy the life rights, like right as that came out, and I'm just like, madness. Okay.
I thought of you with this movie because you were somebody that I felt like could get a movie made based on a Twitter thread.
I can't even get a movie made based on a good movie. Like, I can't even a good idea.
That's the point, is you skirt the traditional Hollywood studio system and you go. I mean, Freddie, I know Freddie right now is thinking like, have I got any Twitter threads in my back pocket?
I know. I'm looking at all my. No, most of my Twitter threads are rants about like Korean barbecue.
So the writer director, this wasn't her Twitter thread. It was some other Twitter thread that existed, and she said, "This inspires me to write a movie." So would this technically win Best Adapted Screenplay?
That's an interesting question.
That is interesting. It'd be kind of an honor to win Best Adapted Screenplay off of a Twitter thread.
Yeah, for
sure.
Like,
I feel like that would even be like kind of cooler than winning original screenplay.
Yeah. Or basing it off a book, because like a book, obviously there's substance there, but a Twitter thread, that seems like that's more work for the screenwriter.
Do you think that they were like, yeah, we got to take that Twitter thread just because it's going to take away eyeballs from our film?
I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely
spoil the ending.
after we stop recording, I'm definitely going to find it. So
after I watched the trailer, I like just went and read all 148 of those tweets, and it was the best day of my life. So Zola is the woman that kind of like Riley Coe says to her, I have this tip that if we go to Vegas, we can make a ton of money stripping. Let's go. And then she's like, the Twitter thread starts with the best Inception. Oh God, I gotta find it. I can't paraphrase it because it's so good. Y'all want to hear a story about why me and this bitch here fell out? It's kind of long, but full of suspense.
Ooh, that's that's great.
Yeah. It's so good.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
It's the Twitter equivalent of, I bet you're wondering how I found myself in this crazy situation.
Yeah. Call me at Ishmael.
Tag me at Ishmael.
Are there Twitter threads that you guys can think of offhand that you think would make good movies?
There's this one, and like I laugh so hard at this. I want to see if I can find it even. It's just like, it's this one about this woman who went to like a nude spa, and then she like went through the wrong door in a hotel and ended up being like naked in this like actual hotel. And I know I'm not going to be able to find it on the spot here, but and she was like in a foreign country. She was like in Germany, and so she didn't speak the language, and could not even possibly do any justice to it whatsoever. But I was just like, it killed me. I
always thought that the guy's gone on to do comics and stuff, but the guy with the ghost outside his door.
Yes.
I was surprised Adam, yeah.
I think his name is.
Yeah, he's gone on to do like more comic stuff. I'm just surprised that hasn't been. That may have, but like that always felt like a good, fun horror premise that worked well on Twitter. Yeah,
I do think the recent, like the woman, not a tweet thread, but the woman that did the TikToks of her apartment that had the secret room behind it.
That one was annoying to me. I'm sorry, that one was so annoying to me.
Why?
Because
oh my gosh, I found it. I'm sorry.
that one was annoying to me because it was like, it's a genuinely cool, great thing and hilarious, and then video 1 was that. Videos 2 through 10 were like, oh, I'm getting internet famous. I need to stretch this out as long as I can because I'm internet famous right now.
I mean, we're on a podcast, so.
Yeah.
Episode 134 or whatever.
But it also ended very disappointingly because it ended with her being like, okay, I guess I'll call my landlord and have him seal it up. Mm-hmm. I was like, what do you mean?
They should have hired like a film crew to get involved. Like after the first one, they should have hired some creative team to get involved and figure out how to pay it off as a good story, as opposed to being true.
Yeah, the truth is always boring. We don't get online, and we don't look for truth. We're looking for entertainment. Mm-hmm. And on that front, it was like, okay, cool. The landlord will now patch it up, and that's it. It's like, well, then what a letdown. You got to give me something out. You got Anyway.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I
found
think
it.
for me, if I could pick any Twitter thread, there's this artist, Richmond Lee, Art Eater is his handle, and he does really a lot of long animation Twitter threads, but
cool.
he did an animation thread about why the sprites in Street Fighter 3 are so good, and I would like to see that as a movie
that's
personally.
cool. You do touch on something that I've always wanted to see, which is just more game documentary stuff that focus on like minutia like that. I think it's like I got on this whole thing of watching like this guy does these incredible recaps of Trackmania records, like 20-minute long, 30-minute long videos, and it's just talking about like this is a record that's been standing for like 10 years and they've been trying, and it's just like really interesting just because at the end it's like a human drama at the core of it.
We were talking about someone recently who broke a speedrunning record by swapping cartridges. They found out that a game runs faster if you like put in one game and then rip out the cartridge and put in another game, and then rip out a cartridge and put in a third game. And if you did that, then the third game you put in runs faster. Where was I hearing this recently? But it was like something insane where
Did you dream this?
No, I don't think I dreamed it. I think this is real. And it like for some reason causes the third game to run at a higher clocked speed. And so they could break the long-standing world record doing it. But then it's like, how do you... Who finds these pieces? It's one of those things where it's like, I applaud your achievement. Now I'm going to need you to die alone. You know? Like
there'd have to be a movie about that where there's like a Rookie of the Year Inception moment where like, you know, he breaks his arm and then he goes to throw. Like, what were they doing when they discovered that swapping the cartridges made it go faster?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's probably data mining is the boring answer. It's generally
like,
data mining.
Yeah, you imagine someone in a lab going, yes, but it's actually someone just like pulled the disc out and then plugged it into a machine and it just scanned stuff and they found a number that indicated. But either way, still,
that's
give
awesome.
me those Twitter movies. I want them.
I think Beth.
Oh, I found it. I found the thread. It's not that long. I mean.
Do you want to read it to us?
Yeah, I do. Like, hopefully the comments aren't going to be like, this was going well until Beth fucking brought out her
all
Twitter.
The voices.
I don't think there are a lot of voices. It's just sort of like...
I'm going to make a post and I'm going to be like, you want to hear how me and this bitch fell out?
She started reading tweets on my film podcast. Okay. This is from Anbara Salam and... yeah, incredible. Okay. As a public service in these stressful times, I'd like to offer, as a palate cleanser, the most embarrassing moment of my life. 10-ish years ago, my ex-boyfriend and I visited a spa in Germany. It's swimsuits in the pool, but you have to be naked in the sauna. By the way, I speak no German.
Oh, no.
BF and I agree to meet in the cafe. I get undressed, grab a little towel, and go off to the sauna. There are 2 unmarked doors at the end of the corridor.
No.
I take a guess and go through the one on the left. It's not the door to the sauna, it's the fire escape. The door locks behind me. I am trapped inside the fire escape in the nip. It's 2 stories, dark, grim, noisy because of huge fans. I bang on the fire escape door until I actually hurt myself. Nothing. Yell for help. Nothing. Fully crying, I run downstairs trying to work out which part of me I should cover with the little towel. My face, a single buttock. Bang on the second floor doors for 10 minutes. Yell some more. Nothing. On the ground floor, there's an unlocked door. Jackpot. But no, it's a terrifying machine room with massive fans and pumps and electrocution symbols on everything. Friends, there is nothing quite like running naked and crying around an industrial machine room.
Oh no.
I spot a service lift. Out of sheer panic, I run into the lift, covering each boob in turn, mashing the buttons. Oh, no. I go up and down in the lift a few times. There's a security camera in the lift, torn between I don't want anyone to see this and I really want someone to see this and rescue me. I move the little towel between strategic areas while sobbing and waving at the camera. After a few rides up and down, there's a German loudspeaker.
No!
There's a German loudspeaker announcement. And I just know it's about me. like the naked girl in the fire escape, please stop mashing the buttons or whatever. But I can't understand it. So I just cry louder. And gesture at the camera. Eventually, the lift doors open. A spa employee stands there. He is the most dressed man to ever be wearing clothes. He has brought no towel for me. He says something in German. I cry. He sighs, waits for me to follow him. I go after him, still switching around this washcloth. Apparently, the only way out of the fire escape is to fully leave the building. So I'm cowering on the edge of the pavement, hysterical, and he points around the corner. The only way back in is along the street, through reception, where people are queuing out the building. And I now have an out-of-body experience, a shame blackout. I have reached my max. I go fully through embarrassment and out the other side. Time slows down. I can hear the music of the spheres. I stop crying, drop the washcloth, shoulders back, head high, follow him along the street, past people parking their cars, standing in line with their families. People say
He doesn't even give her clothes?
No, he had no towel.
It's Germany.
Or your coat or your shirt
It's
or
Germany.
something.
They
Nine.
don't do that in Germany.
9.
Sorry, Beth. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just sorry.
9.
People say things, point. I cannot hear them. I am transcendent with shame, untouchable.
Oh, boy.
Reception is busy. So busy he has to yell at people to make way so I can get through the crowd. The guy explains, I'm guessing, the situation to the receptionist. This takes actual minutes. An old lady gives me her pool float. It is shaped like a lobster. The claws rest on my boobs. No. The receptionist asks me for ID. I am wearing only a lobster. Where, friends, would I be keeping my fucking ID? Receptionist sighs and lets me through the turnstile. 10 minutes later, when I run sobbing into a towel and find my boyfriend in the cafe, he has the audacity to be grumpy because he's been waiting for an hour. Finn.
An hour!
I just want to say one thing.
Ooh.
Very bold of this person to be naked and met with 2 uncertain doorways, drop their shoulder and barrel through it.
To go hard, to commit, to door commit.
I mean, when I leave my own home, I will creep the door open and keep 1 foot back just in case I don't have my key or whatever. Like, I always do that.
I can't believe that the guy didn't give her a shirt or a jacket
It's
or
really,
something.
yeah.
Like that nobody, that's mind-blowing.
What a journey that was.
Yeah.
That would
That's
make a
a-
really good.
I have bought the life
17
right,
commercial.
so, you know.
That's a good
That
film
would be like-
co-commercial, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
that would be like a great B story in a sitcom episode.
Yeah.
Like Dee on Always Sunny, that's what happens to her. You know.
Yeah. It's good stuff. See, there's so
So
much.
Freddie, you
there's so
watching
much
BattleBots,
content out there.
huh?
Oh,
right,
yeah, there
BattleBots.
is. I want to. At the very beginning of this, I asked if I asked the J-Man if he was watching BattleBots.
Yeah. And I
he
said, it's not 2001.
To which I will. nice. To which I counter, BattleBots rips ass now. It's fucking awesome.
Wait, is Rip's ass a good thing?
Yes.
You know what?
It's
At least
actually
I
one of
was
the bots.
literally like Freddie fucking says this all the time on the podcast. I'm like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like
To be ripping ass.
yeah, like
You and your buddies, you go out.
you're not
for a
gonna be
night on
like
the
my
town,
grandma rips
Yeah.
ass. Like
I
what?
mean, if
like
she does,
cool
then
as
I
hell.
will.
you're gonna love
You're gonna
my
love
grandma.
the way
She
my grandma
rips
rips.
I guarantee it.
So, because 2 things have happened in the world of like electronics that has allowed BattleBots to be awesome. Number 1, high-powered lithium batteries or NiCad batteries that explode upon impact or puncture. And then number 2, brushless motors that allow things to spin incredibly fast. So everything, like, BattleBots is what you thought it would have been when you were a kid. Because when you were a kid, they were all lame. They all like ran out of battery, or they just kind of like poked at things and it maybe flip. Nah, it's not that anymore.
So,
I'm gonna send you some
now we got
clips.
real steel.
James always talks about how like NES games, SNES games, the box art is like what you thought the game would
Yes.
how you imagined it, but it wasn't. And so you're saying that this is the box art of the 2001 BattleBots.
Yes, in your head
the
when you
Breath of the
think
Wild.
when you think two robots fighting, this is now what you get. Like
Oh my
stuff
God.
gets lit on
Damn.
fire.
Yeah, was there fire?
Oh
in the
yeah.
original one?
Oh yeah.
Well, they used to have fired traps, and you would always it would always be a part of the BattleBot arena where it was like, oh, he's gonna lay on the fire trap, and then he would, but you're like, oh wait, I guess it's all metal, and that doesn't really like a small fire burst isn't really gonna do. It would even do anything to my hand, but the really
Freddie,
go ahead.
my problem is my brain is broken and I imprint too much humanity on these robots.
I was
and I'm like,
literally
he's hurting him. He's
like
hurting him.
I was literally gonna be like, I'm actually too gentle for this. Like I can't.
Can I ask
I'll
you a
watch
question?
so much boxing, but this is too much for me.
Boxing
Have
over
dr-
BattleBots? Really?
Yeah, I would rather watch UFC than watch these cute
Yeah,
bots. fight each other.
they've done nothing wrong.
Because boxers have a choice. But have drones been integrated? I'm surprised we haven't gotten a situation where there are
straight up
drones firing
drones
down.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
They're straight up drones with flamethrowers.
Okay.
Okay, it would be
Knives.
tight. It would be tight if like you're basically a rock climber free soloing El Capitan, but then it's like winter and there's like snowboarders going down, and you both have drones, right? You both have GoPros on drones, but your drones have to fight each other to get the best shot, and then the other athlete, falls to their death and they don't get it on film. That's my pitch for battle drones.
Battle drones. It should be like
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
so
where
stuff
do
is
you
flipping.
watch it? Do you watch
It's
this
on
a television
Discovery. It's
channel?
on Discovery, and there's plenty of compilations on YouTube where it's like
Gotcha.
things getting set on fire, things flipping around. I'm just saying BattleBots got good, and everyone who slept on it in the 90s, it got good.
BattleBots taught us, if it taught us anything, it's that the greatest weapon ever invented by man was a wedge. Because they would make a BattleBot that had a machete or something, like an armed machete on it, or like a flamethrower, but ultimately the bot that was just the lowest to the ground with the slight incline at the front would always win.
So the meta now is okay, but that doesn't work when you have a bot that has two saw blades going at table saw speeds.
I see.
I just can't shake the image of like an Edward Scissorhands sort of father building this
Yes.
BattleBot.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
BattleBot's like, Father, what will I become? And he's like, don't worry, son. You're destined for greatness. And then it's just like fire.
Yeah,
Crumple. Oh.
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
I mean, this is where we're looking for entertainment now, right? That's we're at this stage where it's like, what do we need
not
robots
me.
fighting? I mean, what have you watched recently, Beth, that you've enjoyed?
I know that you guys were gonna talk about The Mole Agent, which I had never heard about until you told me about it, and I watched it last night. And on IMDb, it is literally like listed as documentary / comedy. I fucking sobbed. Like I
Yes.
love crying, and I was just like, I'm always crying. ABC always be crying. But I was like crying
Yes.
at this movie.
It's a heartfelt comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the premise is, or I don't know, you guys are probably
No,
better
you
explaining
can.
it.
It's an Academy Award nominee doc right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you want to set it up, Beth.
So it takes place in Chile, and there's a documentary crew that has already been allowed to film inside this nursing home, and they hire essentially like an 84-year-old spy, like just via a classified, like seeking somebody between 80 and 90 who is good at technology, I think was the requirement. And so they send him into the nursing home as like a spy with all these like mini cameras, because they say that they have a client, or like a like a whistleblower who believes that her mom is being abused in the nursing home. And so the guy's name is Sergio, and he's like one of the only guys in the nursing home.
Yeah, it's like 70 women to 4 men or something.
Yeah, it's like it's something bizarre. And so when he walks through, like, they all think he's like the dish of the day. They think that, yeah. But you know what's so wild is that, like, I thought it was all like cute and stuff like that. But by the end of the movie, when he was like, you know, just being there for all of those women, I'm like, yes, he is the dish of the day. He is so sexy. Make him my husband. Like,
listen, he is a Paddington type. He is.
Oh my God, yes.
He is an absolute, like, if you're in your realm of like your Paddingtons, your Ted Lassos, Sergio.
I mean, here's the thing. It's almost certain that as this movie gains traction, it will come out and reveal that Sergio was a Nazi sympathizer or something like that, like 75 years ago or something. Like, it's almost guaranteed. God. But in this film, he's essentially an angel sent from heaven to provide comfort to all the people of this home.
This looks amazing. I'm looking at the trailer. This looks amazing.
Yeah.
In his temperament and the way he's like very caring to other people, he reminded me a lot of my grandfather. And
he reminded me of my grandpa too.
And so like that made it even like harder to watch. But man, it's uplifting. But yes, it's heartbreaking.
And it's also like super funny. It's just like these people who just have no responsibility to have a filter, and yet their filters like are pretty wholesome. Like the thoughts are like on the most part pretty funny and wholesome. And they have this like ceremony. I think it's like the anniversary of the nursing home, and where Sergio was crowned the gentleman king.
And the nursing home, and then it's not to spoil this for you, Freddie, or our viewers, listeners, but
Oh yeah, and he's crowned the gentleman king, and I'm like, that's exactly what I need in my life, is a gentleman king.
King.
And then like he sends his daily report to the espionage company, the private detectives, and he like includes like, today I was crowned king of the nursing home, and the guy's reading his report being like, what the fuck are you doing?
He includes what he ate and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's just
that was my one question, is like I'm not sure, like, was there ever a whistleblower complaint or like?
I did read some behind the scenes articles about the movie after we finished it.
Yeah, because I was confused about that. Yeah.
And so I mean, with that, it's not really spoiling the movie, but like ultimately, it seemed like it tied more in with the themes that they were kind of leaving with at the end of the film about like taking responsibility for the people in your life, as opposed to just like putting that responsibility on someone else. So
I think it also just shines a broader light on the care industry and nursing homes, and that there is a lot of negligence and abuse, and like it's a conversation to be had. Yeah. The thing that I truly loved was that Sergio takes the job so seriously.
Yes. And every aspect of his life, despite him being like seemingly an affable, funny guy, he just takes very seriously and is very committed to it. And he has these conversations with these women that I was like bawling. Yeah. My grandma has dementia, and she's like imminently being in a nursing home. Like my mom's trying to find a place for her this week, and she's on the other side. I mean, all this to say that it's like that's something that's been on my mind, and especially the idea of like people who are getting left behind by the world, and that's a huge theme here. And just like that one, just these small conversations that really, really help people feel like they're themselves again is just like so touching. And I really loved it.
Same. And the idea that you reach a point where you're no longer purposeful or valuable. Yeah. And it's like such a heartbreaking thing to think about.
It breaks my heart because I reached that last year. And so it's like...
And one last thing about recommending this film is that the filmmaker, she probably made one of the best looking documentaries ever. It starts out like
amazing.
It starts out like a film noir, and she managed to shoot a documentary like a film noir. Like I'm sure they involve not necessarily staging, but like really like just getting so much fucking footage that they can find what they need. But like it looks incredible, and it's cool because it has this quirky, like silly comedy film noir detective vibe to it, and that's how she actually shot it as a documentary. Like it's really incredible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I mean, that's the world that we're going into, right? That's the world that elder care is an interesting topic too. Just coming from like a very more traditional Asian upbringing, like the idea of like living with your parents is, and the idea of like the family unit being this sort of 3-generational thing. I can speak to, at least in terms of my own culture, is a much more common sort of thing and understanding, right? Like compared to, I think, a lot of other sort of folks. So this is interesting. And I think we're going headlong into that world.
Yeah.
And actually, like, it was cool if I talk about another movie that was gonna talk. Okay, so I also wanted to talk about The Father, which is another. It's a Best Picture nominee, not a documentary, but with Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, and then Olivia Williams, and it's essentially a first-hand depiction of dementia and Alzheimer's, which I know sounds like, okay, do you just want to be a lump for 3 days? And I had this screener sitting around for like weeks because I'm like, this just looks boring as hell. And I popped it on. I could tell immediately that it was like based on a play just because of the way that the dialogue kind of wrapped around itself in a very like songy way. This movie like really blew me away. It's essentially, you've got Anthony Hopkins playing this man who is declining mentally with dementia, and you have Olivia Colman playing his daughter, but sometimes Olivia Williams is playing his daughter, and he doesn't realize which one, and it's just like, I have never been walked through this experience in the way that the father does.
Are they both his daughters, or is it that they're supposed to be playing the same person, or he's...
They're playing the same person at times. It depends on who he thinks that they are. And then you've got, I think it's Imogen Poots, who's like the carer that's supposed to come in. But sometimes he thinks that he's already met her. And I will say that, like, it's kind of a confusing movie, but it's this most like compassionate walk through somebody's experience with dementia that also portrays like the nastiness and the attitude and the like the anguish that it could have on other people. And so I was just really blown away by it. And it all takes place in the same house, and so the geography of the house is constantly shifting, so that you're actually not really sure where you are in the house. And I can't imagine what it'd be like to see this on stage. It would be incredible. But yeah, wow. I really liked it.
I would like to add another, I mean, it feels like it kind of lands in this category, Thunder Force, starring Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thunder Force
I really see it.
deals with some strong themes.
Beth,
like...
we've also been sitting on that screener, and now that actually hearing the way that you've described it and the mechanisms through which it tells that story actually makes me want to watch it now.
Because your girl's relying on friends for screeners, and I was like, I got to get this back to somebody, and I was like,
yeah, don't copy that.
Yeah, you'll die.
Yeah, in Thunder Force, Jason Bateman has crab arms. So,
okay, I'm sold.
So, I mean, I guess, there's a lot of... I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of good movies out there. There's, like, a lot of good stuff. And it's a good time. You know what? Hey, we're going in the Oscars. It's a good time to be a movie fan.
I think that this year has a crazy lineup of movies coming out.
Yeah, except they shifted the entire Tom Cruise slate because... they can't. Paramount or they pushed Top Gun, and then that pushed Mission Impossible. So,
yeah,
I don't think we're getting Mission Impossible until February.
There's an audience tolerance for Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
exactly. Someone has figured out, and they're like, if we release Tom Cruise movies within X amount of time from each other, then they will not.
I can deal with constant Cruise. Like throw him at me all the time. Have you guys seen Swallow? I haven't seen it, but I saw the trailer for it a while ago, and I'm like, I need to fucking see this movie. It looked incredible. Somebody with the what's it called? Pica, when you're compelled to eat
dirt, right? Yeah.
Or like eat
not
not
couch cushion stuff.
not edible objects. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's the gal from Girl on the Train, but not Emily Blunt, and also not Rebecca Ferguson, and also but it's one of those. And I'm gonna try to track it down, the next couple of days, because it looked right up my alley. Because I like to swallow things. No, I mean, yeah.
I will find this as well. This Swallow film.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we've watched recently that is
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop. On that note, we should probably, you guys need to go climb a wall.
Yeah. We are climbing a wall right after this.
Probably wrap things up. We fortunately don't have time to talk about Moon Knight this week.
It's so crazy to think. It's like insane to think that we had Moon Knight and we didn't talk about Moon Knight, which is exactly what Moon Knight would have wanted. Because Moon Knight's crazy.
That's true. Is he a gray area superhero? Do we know?
He doesn't even know.
Dang.
Because he's crazy.
Dang.
Get it? Because lunacy. Moon. Crazy. Moon Knight.
Luna.
Oscar Isaac. Knife fights. At least you're trying to wrap up this episode?
Yeah. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Three of us.
I love talking to you guys about movies. So this was just a pleasure in the workday. We mentioned Dungeons and Daddies at the top of the show. Where can everybody watch and listen, or not watch? Where can everybody listen to that? And anything else that you guys want to promote?
Yeah, so Dungeons and Daddies you can find on any podcast app, Spotify, just Dungeons and Daddies, exactly how it sounds, exactly how it's spelled. If you like tabletop role playing,
not a BDSM podcast.
Not a BDSM podcast. If you like tabletop role playing and a group of people who are not super hardcore into D&D rules, this may be the one for you.
I actually just published a book a couple of months ago, and it's a poetry book. I'm sorry, and it's
damn.
Look at that promo.
I kept it here. I was like, in case Beth doesn't mention it.
Oh my gosh. So it's got that marble mouth poetry title, The Immortal Soul Salvage Yard, and it's I'm really psyched. It's got the format of it is kind of a little bit like a scrapbook, so you got like some handwritten poetry and weird shit like that. And it's just I'm not a huge written poetry fan, like historically, and it took me a while to get into written poetry, especially because I come from a spoken word background. And so like maybe if you're not super into page poetry but you have extra $15 lying around, like that might be for you.
And real quick. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead. Finish up.
Oh, I was just gonna say I read all 85 pages and I thought it was fantastic.
Wow, thank you.
Unbiased review.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Freddie.
Oh yeah, no,
really,
really quick. I also this last year I was helping my dad out with his memoir about how he swam from. This is another book, so this is how he.
I read that article.
He swam from Hong Kong to from the mainland China to Hong Kong to escape the Cultural Revolution. So I've been helping out with a memoir that he wrote. It's coming out April 27th. It's called Swimming to Freedom. So if that sounds like a story that's interesering to you,
incredible!
Check it out.
I can't wait for this. This is awesome. Yeah,
I read
so
that article that you posted, and it was like 8 miles. I don't want to no spoilers, but was it like
depending on where you go, it's 5 to 6
swam?
miles. Which again, to put that in perspective, I once tried to swim a normal Olympic-sized swimming pool at college. I went halfway, and then I was like, I give up. I got out, and I got a donut. So yeah,
and he also had like multiple attempts, right?
Yes, it's a real story. It's basically the family story. It's why I'm here, and it's
awesome.
Getting out into the world. So that's Swimming to Freedom.
That's so cool.
So cool.
Right.
And I, Thunder Force, you can check it out on Netflix now. So, that's it for me. That's all I think. That's
I've got another quick promo. Sorry, I'm like attention whore over here, but I am in a thing called the Movie Trivia Schmodown. I just like joined this league. You guys were on it, and you actually fucking killed it. You guys were
lost.
You lost. Well, like just losers sometimes.
Yeah.
They're good. People, so they're good people
BD
too.
Wong was the right answer. Is how we would have won if we had known BD Wong.
But Beth, you're still going.
I'm still going. So my match is coming up, I think like in a week or so. And you just go to YouTube and www.movie trivia schmodown. It's like movie trivia meets WWE. Extremely serious, extremely competitive, extremely BD Wong.
They were wrong in our episode. They were wrong about the number of Resident Evil films released in theaters. Let the record show. Let the record show. My armpits are sweating. Look how worked up I am by this.
Oh man.
Look at this.
Man.
We were right. Thunder Force. Thunder Force.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having. We just fade on him. Drop the fade on him. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll
Miss
see you guys soon. Miss you
Yeah.
soon.
Soon.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.